Hello, everyone. My name is Brian Van Brunt. I'm the president of NVIDIA and a partner with the Income Group. I wanted to talk to you for a little bit today about a new tool that we've developed called Looking Glass. This was based on the research that Scott Lewis, Jeff Solomon, and myself put together for an upcoming book by Taylor and Francis. This book really looked in detail at the idea of written threats, social media threats, and creative fiction. Students might be writing in classes, both in college, K through 12 environments, posting on social media, Snapchat, Instagram, all the different ways that people communicate. One of the things that we wanted to do was bring this a little bit sooner to market and not wait for the book launch, but instead get this into the hands of our end users with NVIDIA and the other organizations, mostly because of the changes that we're going through right now related to the pandemic. If you're like us, one of the things that we're noticing is an uptick in the number of social media posts, written communications, and difficulties that people are having. And this occurs in workplace, this occurs college, university, as well as K through 12. And what the tool looks at is a really simple way and straightforward way of analyzing written social media and creative narratives to let the end user, the bit team or the care team ideally, make some decisions about the level of risk. The tool is designed in comparison with our other tools, really creating a mild, moderate, elevated, as well as critical level in terms of risk, and then having interventions based on these. What the tool does, Looking Glass, is provide the user an ability to look into the writing sample and be able to estimate a level of risk. What this does is it creates some legal mitigation, I would argue. It helps us streamline our processes in terms of how we're assessing written communication and making sure that our decisions aren't biased, or at least mitigating some of that bias. The tool itself, as you can see through our online training, is going to be made up of two different categories, what we're going to call escalating elements as well as mitigating elements. And if you think of this as a bit of a teeter-totter, as the escalating elements go up, the mitigating elements exist and might pull that overall score down. This is based on about 206 different cases that we reviewed in the book. And really pulled about half of the cases that were actual attacks, and the other half were ones that were either trolling or never had an attack attached to them. So we looked at some differences in those data sets to better compare. For NVIDIA users and members who've been with us for a while, you're familiar with our suite of tools. We have the NVIDIA Risk Rubric, we have the VRAW, the Violence Risk Assessment of the Written Word, we have the SIVRA, the Structured Interview for Violence Risk Assessment, and then finally the ERIS, the Extremist Risk Intervention Scale. What we find with Looking Glass is it's a more straightforward way to analyze written content, both on social media as well as in the classroom or over email communications. A bit more straightforward than VRAW. And while I think VRAW is still a very useful tool and one that I certainly use as well as Looking Glass, I think many of the users will find, and the members in our organization, that the Looking Glass program is simplified and easier to put into practice, really looking at two scales and how those interplay. So I'd encourage you to take a look at our webinar. This is recorded with Scott Lewis, myself, and Jeff Solomon, talking about things from the psychological, the legal, as well as law enforcement and conduct perspectives. I think you'll find the tool useful, and you'll just see some new upcoming trainings related to this, looking at case studies and then interventions related. My hope is that you stay safe during this time, and if NVIDIA can ever look at different products or ideas to bring forward to you, we'd love to talk to you about that as well. Thanks for taking some time today to listen to us, and hopefully this will be a useful tool as you move forward.